Hi everyone, my name is Cyan, and today I decided to torture myself by making a very quick and impromptu video that has turned into such a long affair, and I've actually lost count the number of takes that I've done because I apparently can't speak today. I'm muddling up words and I'm not being very coherent, so I'm hoping that whatever time this is, X time the charm, and I'm hoping that this is the take that I can stick with. The video that I want to talk about. See, this is what I mean. I can't speak. I'm gonna keep this in. I don't care. I'm just gonna roll with it. The topic that I want to talk about today is Starcraft Broodwar and some of the things that made it particularly popular in South Korea, and some lucky things, maybe you could consider them lucky, and then some unlucky things for Starcraft 2's release in South Korea. Because today on Reddit, somebody made a thread talking about how they just discovered Brood War and how impressed they were with the game and how much they liked it and enjoyed it, and how even though when they checked whatever it was 4 a.m. in Korean time, there were still 6,000 people playing on Icy Cup and laddering and playing this game that's so old and dated, over 10 years old now, and what must have happened for Blizzard to release StarCraft 2 and miss out on all of these fans. And I think that this is a really interesting topic with some really interesting things that people just don't really realize in the StarCraft 2 community, and it's just not super common knowledge. I don't really see it being talked about. And I think it's really interesting, so I want to talk about it. And I want to give a big shout out to Wolf, because I don't know how long ago, but I've been watching old State of the Game episodes because I'm doing this history of the community thing, and Wolf talks about this in a really old episode of State of the Game, and I found it very interesting. So Wolf, you're the inspiration for all this. I hope that I can do a decent job in explaining it, and I hope that I can be coherent this time, and I hope that I don't have to do another take of this video. Oh my god. So, StarCraft Broodwar was released in 1998, and at the time, South Korea had some censorship and some embargoes on Japanese media and products. And those were put in place after World War II and just kind of hung around. Um, I don't have any historical explanation. I'm not going to even bother looking in it, but they existed. They were put in after the war because of what happened between Korea and Japan, and they came right up on through to the 2000s. And if I'm not totally incorrect, then I think some of them might still exist. Um, yeah, I believe some of them do. At this point, it's undoubtedly just a protection of your own cultural sovereignty. I'm sure that Korea and Japan are a little bit like the United States and America. Canada has lots of restrictions on how much American music can be played on the radio and things like that. To the point, in Korea in the 90s, you could not buy a Japanese game console like Nintendo or a PlayStation because they didn't exist in Korea. They were embargoed. You couldn't play Mario because you couldn't buy your Nintendo console. So if you were 8 years old in Korea during the 90s and you wanted to play a video game, you had to play on PC. And that means that, the biggest releases at the time were like Warcraft and Starcraft and like EverQuest and all these things. And obviously it created this culture of computer gaming in South Korea as opposed to console gaming. So on top of that, during this time in the 90s, South Korea starts to really like get into technology and being a technological country to the extremes. And business life is so popular during the 90s in South Korea, and you need a computer to do your business. You need a computer to do your paperwork. So at some point, somebody had a really great idea. They thought, why don't I open a shop type thing where you can rent computer time and use the computer? And that's how PC Bonks came to be, or PC Bangs, or however it's supposed to be said. I don't know. And the cool thing about that, for people who didn't want to just do their paperwork, is that you could go and you could play video games on your PC Bonks. So you're 8 years old in Korea, you want to play a video game, you cannot play Mario or Sonic because you don't have access to those consoles. You can take your allowance for the week and go down to a PC Bong and pay $5 and then just play video games. That's such a low entry level that really anybody can get in on. So that really helps StarCraft become a thing in Korea. That just becomes so accessible and visible to a lot of people, and I don't know that it would have been that case if there hadn't been that Japanese embargo and censorship restriction type thing, because there would have been so much competition from Nintendo and Sony and all of these Japanese video game companies. Um, Second to that, as video games and StarCraft specifically becomes more and more popular in South Korea, and the pro scene starts to develop and get more and more attention and more lucrative for people to be involved in, you were able to turn on your TV in South Korea and flip to a cable channel that just played StarCraft 24/7. You could turn on your television in your home, in your hotel, wherever you were, and just watch StarCraft. And that's a really big deal. Because, again, think about how accessible that is. Think about how easy it is to do that. Because, I mean, during the 90s, not everybody had a computer, but most people probably had TVs. I don't know, speaking for Korea, but I would assume that a lot of people had TVs and a lot of people had cable television. Um, and it would be nothing to turn on your TV and just go to the channel and watch StarCraft. So that creates a lot of accessibility, and that just keeps that ball of popularity rolling, and that makes people like Bomber and Nada and Flash and Jaedong. That's what helps to turn them into such relevant cultural people, and that's what helps to create this environment where Starcraft Broodwar could be broadcast in an airplane hangar with this incredible production value, or on a beach with thousands of people watching and cars going by thinking, wow, what is that? Cool, Starcraft. I've never heard of that, but I'm going to take note because look at how relevant this is. Um, and that propels Starcraft Broodwar up to this amazing height that honestly, I guess League of Legends is there now. It propels Starcraft Broodwar up to this League of Legends worthy height. Um, and then, talking about StarCraft 2 and its release, StarCraft 2 was released in 2010. Pro League, which was the biggest StarCraft league in South Korea, it was the league that you could find on your television at the time, with all of the most popular players, the Flashes and the Jaedongs and the Bisus. Pro League didn't switch to StarCraft 2. Pro League didn't switch to StarCraft 2 until midway through 2012, and I remember this being a really big deal and not really understanding why this was such a big deal at the time. Because everybody had always just been waiting for, Flash and Jaedong and all these players to start playing StarCraft 2, and there'd be these trickle rumors, like, oh, Flash has a barcode account that's GM in Korea, oh, it's coming. Desro, I remember, posted a video of him playing Flash like the week that it was announced that they were going to switch, and he beats him on Korean Ladder, and it was super hype, and it was like, oh my god, this is a big deal. And the reason why that's relevant for the popularity of StarCraft 2 in South Korea is because you have to remember that that's two and a half years where people could just watch Brood War, and their favorite players were playing Brood War, and their favorite teams were still playing Brood War, and there was no reason or incentive for you to just change to StarCraft 2. Even though StarCraft 2 has a lot going for it, and I personally think that it's a better game, if you're a South Korean StarCraft fan in 2010 and this game comes out, but your favorite players and favorite teams are still playing StarCraft Brood War, why would you switch? There's no incentive for you to do so. So a lot of the reason why people stuck with StarCraft Brood War in South Korea is because, well, the scene stuck with StarCraft Brood War. And GOM came out and, created GSL, and GSL was super relevant. We got super relevant people from it, and I'm not knocking GSL. I'm not knocking South Korean StarCraft 2 in 2010 and 11. But I think that it's important to understand how there was a very long period of time where the biggest StarCraft thing in South Korea was still doing Brood War. And I think that all of these factors combine to create a situation where not only did StarCraft Brood War propel to this amazing height where it would be almost impossible for it to just die completely in such a short period of time that it has been, but it also creates a scenario where people aren't super incentivized to switch over to the new game and are incentivized to keep watching this thing that they love so much and that they know so well. And I'm not trying to knock Blizzard. I don't think that it was really Blizzard's fault in 2010 when Kespa didn't switch. I don't know the backroom dealings, but I know that it's generally accepted that Kespa can be very hard to deal with. And I don't know why Kespa would have switched, because at the time they were still making lots of money and there were no competitors in 2010 for StarCraft. StarCraft 2 was the competition for StarCraft Broodwar, and that was the new kid on the block. So I think that these things are just really cool and very interesting, and it really makes you appreciate, like, wow, how lucky are we to have a scene at all, to have esports at all, because realistically, if StarCraft Brood War hadn't been as popular as it was in South Korea, then maybe global esports wouldn't exist right now. If Nintendo and Sony had been able to get into the Korean market and sell their goods there and make console gaming a relevant thing in the 90s in South Korea, then maybe PC gaming wouldn't be as big as it is in South Korea now, which means we wouldn't have Starcraft Brood Wars, Starcraft 2. We wouldn't have League of Legends. We wouldn't have the foundation of esports that we're sitting on right now that makes it so cool and so exciting, and there's so much potential for growth. Uh, so really, it's not about Blizzard missing the mark with StarCraft 2. It's more about a lot of luck in StarCraft Brood War and a little bit of bad luck in StarCraft 2. That's the video that I wanted to do. I think I'm going to keep that take. I know I rambled a little bit. For anybody that's relevant, or see, this is why I had to do like so many takes. For anybody that still cares about the StarCraft 2 History Project, I did an update last week, and I said that I was having some problems with OBS, and this week I thought that it was fixed. I thought that we were good to go. I thought that I was going to be able to get my update out, but now today I've gone and tried to do it, and it's not working. What I want to be doing is capturing things on my screen, and it's very important for me to do that if I do a video, and OBS isn't cooperating at all. If you're still interested in the StarCraft 2 History Project, then you can follow me there on Twitter, and I'll give you some updates when I can. I'm not super active on Twitter, but that seems to be the most easy thing to do, so I'm going to try and get into that. If you like this video and you like hearing about some of the things that happen in StarCraft, then I've got more on the way. I've got a lot of things that I want to talk about and explain, and just things that I find cool that I'd like people to hear. So you can consider subscribing to this channel. And at some point when I release the StarCraft 2 History Project update, which is going to be major, it's going to be a lot of content, I'd really like to do like a stream talking about what it is and answering any questions that anybody might have, talking about what I did and anything like that. So you can follow me on Twitch there. I don't stream on the regular. I might try it out. I plan on doing a stream to answer some questions and stuff, and just play some games and have some fun. And maybe I'll pick it up as a thing to do. I don't know. Come watch me be plat. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're still watching, thank you so much. Thank you for your interest in the History Project, and I will see you all very soon.